Good morning, everyone. Thanks for joining us. I'll just kick us on to the first slide. So, if you're a regular here, you don't need to adjust your sets. Violetta will be back from holidays next week. Apparently, she needed a holiday. So, who knew? Okay, with that, I'll pass you over to Marta. Now, before we start, this is the small favor. Mika had a bit of an emergency and he can't join us. So Marta's got to do several persons all in a row today. The favor I would ask is if you've got questions, if you can post them in the Q&A, because it's Marta and me, and trust me, if you want answers on this, you really need them from Marta and you don't need them from me. So if you can post them in the Q&A, we get to them right as best we can right at the end. Anything we don't finish, we'll follow up over on Slack. Marta, over to you.
Exactly. Thank you, Tom. Thank you so much. And thanks everybody for your understanding. So this session I would usually do with Mika, because he is the creator of the application, of all the code and of the demo. However, had an emergency, so I am taking over. I still hope that you enjoyed. So this is about Helidon microservices. I saw somebody answer, many people answered that you're not using microservices yet. Most of the other people answer Spring Boot, and just one person answered Ruby on Rails. So this is, I hope this will be a discovery for you, a new microservices framework for you to know about. Like I said, I would usually present this with Mika. We're together in the same team. I'm the leader of the application development specialist for EMEA, and our team covers anything related to Kubernetes, serverless, DevOps, and of course, anything related to microservices. This is just some general guidance on how to consume the information, and let's go straight to the agenda. So we will talk a little bit. I explained you what Helidon is and what the differences are with other microservices frameworks. I will also go a little bit into our transaction manager for microservices, one slide about container database, and then we'll jump into the architecture of the application and the demo. So what is actually Helidon? As you know, Java 22 was announced at KubeCon a couple of weeks ago, after Java 21 had been announced at CloudWorld in October. Java 21 not only provided long-term support for at least the next 8 years, but it also brought new JDK enhanced proposals. One of the most prominent features is the new support for virtual threads project Loom. It's a revolutionary change. Threads are no longer this precious, scarce resource, but you can instantiate as many as your software needs. And these virtual threads are lightweight threads that reduce the effort of writing, the effort of maintaining, and the effort of debugging high-throughput concurrent applications. Oracle also released the production version of Helidon 4, which introduces a new server internally called Níma, which was designed from the ground up to fully harness these capabilities of Java 21, virtual threads. Helidon 4 is natively awesome. It brings all the cognitive features you need in a declarative programming model that is based, of course, on an industry standards. Helidon is not new. It has been out there for a while, and it has always been evolving. Originally, it was called J4C, Java for Cloud. So the customers that can benefit more are those of you deploying microservices. So if you're not deploying microservices yet, you can start with Helidon. And even if you have existing code running on WebLogic or any kind of Jakarta system, it's very useful for migration. It comes in two flavors: Helidon MP, which is an implementation of the microprofile specification. You probably know there is no application server. There is packaging, but there is no deployment. It runs on the JVM, and it can serve both as a client of WebLogic server as well as a backend. That's why I said it's useful for migration, because you can have your old code in WebLogic and develop new microservices with Helidon. The integration is seamless. Same as with coherence. You can declare resources for your coherence name cache in Helidon, and then it will inject a name cache object into that field at bootstrap time. And the metrics, of course, will be available via the standard MP metrics endpoint. On the OCI side, Helidon also works seamlessly with the OCI SDK and supports more than 100 APIs, each of them having its own client. To use them, you just add the Maven dependencies and inject the client you need, and the authorization and configuration can be done directly on your OCI config file, and I will also show you that. There are 3 different ways that you can package your application. Like I said, it's a self-contained Java SE application, always running on its dedicated JVM. The simplest way is just an executable jar, or you can use JLink and create a customized Java runtime. Or lastly, and this is an important highlight, it supports free compilation with GraalVM that starts extremely fast and has a small footprint because you're not paying for the warm-up of the virtual machine. Additional benefits are that you can easily upgrade from another Helidon version from 1 to 3 to 4. You can also easily move from Spring Boot. And like I just mentioned, you can compile into a native executable GraalVM. It is widely adopted at Oracle with tons of applications running in Helidon, and it has a very close alignment with Java. Of course, we're already working on the recently announced Java 22. This is a study done back in November by Tech Empower, and Helidon was the highest performant microservices framework, beating Quarkus, beating Micronaut, beating Spring Boot by a lot on the composite score, and this is due to these virtual threads in large part, and the tests that are currently running on Java 22 have shown even better results. Also, it's very lightweight both in memory footprint and on disk footprint. You can find more metrics and benchmarking on the Helidon webpage that I will show at the end with the rest of the resources. Okay, so this is one of the components for the application. Our microservices are developed in Helidon. What else do we have in the application? MicroTx, the Oracle Transaction Manager for microservices. What is it? Well, it simplifies application development and application operations by enabling distributed transactions to ensure consistency across polyglot microservices deployed in Kubernetes, but also on other environments. What does this all mean? First, let me remind you of the 4 properties of a transaction: atomicity, consistency, isolation, and persistence. If your system is simple and the execution can be accomplished in only one service and also in one database, then we're good to go. However, these transactions can be distributed. Very typical distributed transaction scenario is the interbank money transfer or an airline booking. You have your hotel and your rental car reservation. You only want to rent the car if the hotel has been confirmed. And you don't want your plane ticket to be sold to you and to somebody else at the same time, right? A distributed transaction means that the transaction initiator, the resource, and the resource manager, and the transaction coordinator are located in different nodes of the distributed system. In essence, distributed transactions aims to ensure the correct execution of data operations in a distributed scenario. And back then, or even now, when your application is a monolith with a single state and a single database, this is easier to handle. And even though I am a big fan of microservice architecture, because it does provide many benefits, it is difficult to ensure data consistency for requests that span these multiple services. Solving this requires really, really advanced coding skills. And it is also difficult to troubleshoot and to manage transactions that span polyglot microservices, because you might be having different microservices languages. The complexity will increase further when each microservice uses an individual database to manage the data, which is also possible. And that's when MicroTx has its place. In order to use it, you only need to install it and then integrate the MicroTx client libraries with your application code to manage transactions. This is another example. You go to the doctor and then he or she says you need a blood test, and depending on the results, you might need a prescription. And sometimes you also have to pay an invoice for the whole service. All of these services can be developed in different languages and need the previous service to confirm the transaction to be able to execute theirs. We can see also this complexity happening to enterprise developers and to customers who are moving away from monoliths to microservices. They are developing new applications based on microservices architectures, or they are extending existing applications with new microservices. And this leads to this dual write problem or the data consistency issue, because each microservice has its own database and its own business transactions that involve more than one microservice. What MicroTx does, it provides flexibility in application development because it supports, it says here, multiple programming languages such as Java, TypeScript, Python, and as I said before, it's just a library. And it even supports transactions spanning ORDS and Apex applications, RESTful applications deployed WebLogic, Tuxedo services written in C++ or COBOL, or even our blockchain platform. MicroTx comes in 2 flavors. The Enterprise Edition was launched mid-December, and what it does is offers additional enterprise-level features for deployments in productions. For example, no limit on transaction throughput. And of course, it comes with Oracle support on top of it. So the benefits is that it eliminates the need for developers, for you guys, to write the business logic to compensate a failed transaction and all the complex testing that is associated with it. And that increases productivity and time to market. That's what everybody always wants. You can continue to use your existing tools and frameworks because it just requires a few changes to existing applications. It's an annotation. I will show you also on the code later. And MicroTx enables the data consistency using standard transaction protocols, XA, LRAs, TCC, no vendor lock-in risk, okay? More benefits are that it's developed by our experts in distributed transactions. It uses filters and annotations to make the application development easier. It supports Oracle database, non-Oracle database, and even non-transactional compliant databases such as MongoDB using login last resource. Just wanted to mention a couple of things about MicroTx because there's a cloud coaching in 2 weeks on the 24th coming. It will be delivered by Victor Mendo, and he will go much deeper into the transaction manager for microservices and will explain a little. All right, so we're having MicroTx, we have Helidon microservices. What else do we have in the application? A database, of course. I am not sure if you know, but we also offer an Oracle database free, the developer release, with the latest and greatest 23C features, such as the revolutionary JSON relational duality views, where you can access and modify your data as JSON documents or within tables. That's what is this relational duality. The power of GraalVM has also come to the database. You can now execute JavaScript closer to your data even before writing, because you can write JavaScript, store procedures, and import JavaScript libraries into your database, and many more. And what we did in this case is that we ran the database container image for Docker. The image can be pulled and it can be run from the Oracle Container Registry. We're not actually running the vanilla image, but we made a custom image to have the schema and some test data built in so that the databases are properly set when we run in a dev environment. To connect the Docker database from the microservices, the configuration is saved in the Helidon starter microprofile config property file that is generated, and then you can enter the IP address of the host running the container, or if depending, I'll also show you in the code how it's done. And in our example, the DB runs as a sidecar of the microservice. But like I said, there are many other options to implement the solution with an autonomous database, with a database cloud service, or even locally in your machine. So now let's go into the architecture and check what other components we have. I am sure most of you already know all the other resources that are available for you in OCI. OCI is not only robust, offering managed services for functions, managed service for Kubernetes, and for DevOps, but it's also very open. So if you're already running something else, don't worry, it will also run in OCI. From Terraform, through GitHub Actions, even to Redis. Oracle has been supporting the open source community for more than 20 years. We contributed and maintained critical projects and technologies, over 500 of them. And also in the KubeCon in Chicago, we announced that we donated $3 million on credits for Ampere ARM-based workloads. So very, very open. If you have any question about any open source product that you're using, I'm sure we can confirm that it runs. So this is the application, the gym app. It all started at the end of the year when you're planning the New Year's resolution. And then I told Mika, hey, I think I'm going to register to a gym. And then he said, well, maybe we can do a cool application, because sometimes when you go to a gym, you have to book a class. And then the instructor confirms the class and then you have to pay for it. So this is how the application goes, okay? We have an instructor microservice. Microservice is implemented in Helidon, like I said. And the instructor microservice has a database where it stores who are the instructors, how many classes, and who has signed to each class. Okay. The instructor also has a UI, and I will show you in the demo, where in the user interface, the instructor can create classes, can confirm or unconfirm, he can cancel the classes, and he can set the classes as complete. In parallel, we have the user of the gym user. Again, another microservice than in Helidon. And the gym user also has a database. What do we store in the database? What users and what classes the user has registered. There's also a user interface where the user can find new classes, can select the classes, and to make it a little more interesting, we introduced a third-party component, which is to pay for the classes. We're using PayPal, okay? So this has like I was mentioning at the beginning, these different components. You have different microservices, each of them with its database, and the transaction spans multiple of them. One business transaction goes on it. And what we've used here, the industry standard that we use is LRA, the long running transactions, okay? And these are the standards from LRA. You create the LRA first. If you cancel, then you have to compensate. And if you complete, you have to complete. Okay, so this is standard syntax for LRAs: create, compensate, and complete. A little bit more of the details what we have used here. We're using MicroTx 23. The user interface is done with Vue.js, with JavaScript, and with Bootstrap 5. And Helidon, of course, Helidon 4 for the microservices. We are using the PayPal sandbox that it's available, and everything is integrated in OCI with IDCS and with a GWG token for authentication and authorization. All of this is deployed in a Kubernetes cluster, in our container engine from Kubernetes in OKE. Like I said, there's different options for the database. So if you're using a PaaS service, either DBCS or XACS or Autonomous DB, you have to enter this information in the microprofile config property file. You say the data source, and for example, if you're using Autonomous, here you can tell where the wallet is. Oops, back. Here we have the public address, so you would enter the same public address in the user in the micro profile config property file. In this case, what we did is use the Extreme Edition or the database free for developers that you can pull from the container registry. And this is the configuration for it, okay? As I said, what OCI does, it uses this sidecar database from the registry, and then you can do different profiles, of course, if it's the gym user or the gym instructor in your YAML file, in your manifest. And the cool thing is that the sidecar database, it follows the life cycle of the app. So we can have new data on the dev environment. And I will also show you how to do that with a custom image so that you don't have to do it yourself. Everything gets refreshed within each redeployment. Speaking about lifecycle development, of course, we have all the data in Git. And recently, we also launched the OCI plugin for VSCode. So you can do the same. You have here your OCI DevOps in VSCode. So you can develop, you can do everything that you need in VSCode. And this will automatically trigger the deployment in OCI. So you do your Git commit, and this will trigger the build. So your artifacts and your container images will be pushed to the container registry, and then it will be deployed in OCI. So very, very easy, completely using the standards, okay? And sorry, I missed here. Optional, you can use an Istio service mesh. You can see here Kiali. You can do tracing with Jaeger. You can use OCI monitoring, because we need day 0 where you develop your application in VS Code, day 1 when you deploy your application to OCI, and day 2 you need to monitor everything that's happening in your application. So everything can be done in one go. And of course, you can also connect from VS Code remotely with SSH with OCI. I'm going to change now to my browser. Let's see if I can get it right. I hope you can see it, because we have everything documented in GitHub and also in a series of Medium articles that go through each step. Okay, so this is the link. I will put also the link at the end.
We can see that, Marta, so it's all good.
You can see it? Okay, perfect.
Yeah. And
in each article, it's explained what we do. For example, like we said, first you need to create your your environment installation, and then you set up the access for the database. The database is you pull it from Docker, okay? The latest one. And then here we have the scripts, like I said. All this can be done for a dev environment so that it gets refreshed each time. So if you need to test with new data, you just change the script and it will deploy with the new one. This is to get going the long running transaction. You need to add a dependency in your POM XML. Super easy. Just do this, and then it will be done right away. Very, very easy. Remember I told you use annotations? There we go. Just entering this in your code, so you don't need to do any complexity code. Your microservice stays with the business logic that you need, and everything else will go in the annotation. You can use this code, or of course you can adapt it for yourself. Okay, so this is the specific annotation that you need to use Alloray. The second one is to make sure that the next one, the resources and the participants are done. So this will be to complete. Remember I told you it's create, complete, and compensate. So all of this is also same thing, is a standard. Then you need to put your user interface. super easy again. We said in the config profile, you can just do your index HTML, and then you can have your regular development of the application. Next one is the manifest, the deployment for your application in OKE. If you're using Kubernetes, you will find this very, very similar. You just say your replicas, you just see the name, what kind of deployment, and which containers you have. So everything standard in a regular YAML file. And in the last article, you will find how to do the YAML file for Istio. Okay, so you can also use the cluster API, and you will see how to put a load balancer. I had to make it a real application. Okay, we also go here in the last one through the authentication and authorization, federating the security with IDCS, with OCI. So let's go check out the application. Let me see if I find the video. It should be here. Tom, can you confirm that you see it?
Yep, we do.
Awesome, perfect. So the video shows two screens. One of them, it's the instructor, and the other one is the user of the application. There's a couple of things that are finished because my colleague Mika is from Finland, but I will explain what happens. It's very intuitive, so you don't need to worry about it. First thing, you need to sign in OCI. We have multi-factor authentication now for security reasons in a retenancy, so you need to make sure. And here you go. The gym instructor has login in the application, and here on the left, we're signing in as a gym user, okay? Remember, on the right is a gym instructor, on the left is the gym user. And because it's done in Bootstrap, the application is responsive, so you can have it on your phone. Here's on the web browser, but it would be the same on your phone. The menu, you can see we have the upcoming classes, the classes that are new, that are available for you to sign in, and the classes that you have done. And because it's responsive, same thing. When you change the browser, it goes with the web page. Okay, so he wants to log into this class. And here we have the integration with the PayPal sandbox. So this is just a sandbox. We're not actually paying anything. But again, this isn't finished, but for everybody that uses PayPal, I'm sure you know how it is. There we go. Payment was successful. So this is the first transaction that we have, okay? The user registered, and then you can see right away here that on the instructor, he says, okay, I have one sign up. Somebody signed for my class. But he thinks better about it and said, no, I don't want to do it. I'm going to cancel. And then you see right away here, the little one disappear. So then we have the first transaction. He has signed for the class and he has canceled it. And this happened in several steps. Let's book another class. And then you're here seeing this in real time, but this could be in hours or days or even weeks, okay? That's why it's long running. Okay, new registration to a class. The instructor is here. And then it says, okay, perfect. Class is confirmed by the instructor. And the instructor said, okay, after everything happened, I've done the class, I completed. So now the transaction is the same. And it's not the same. It's not canceled. It's been complete. So it goes to PayPal and back, and now the instructor has the money. And here you can see both of the classes that have been stored in the database so that the user always see all the classes. Let's register to another class. It's paid. Okay, we see right away here, there is the one, and now is the instructor the one that cancels the class, okay? Not the user, but the instructor. Maybe he didn't have enough people, so he's going to cancel. And now we're using the compensate method, okay? Because it was already paid, but it needs to be rolled back. That's why we go back. And you can see all the status. Self-canceled, attended the class, and canceled by the instructor. Now the instructor can add a new class. This is for Christmas because it was done in December, the video. And I say, okay, it's €2, a special edition for our class. All of this, again, is being stored in the database. And also the microservices that reads the classes goes from one to the other so that the gym user can see right away that there's a new class available. Again, he's registering to this one. And then the instructor can cancel or he can't confirm that it's going to take place. Perfect. So we see all of them. So we see 2 classes that were done, transaction was complete, 1 transaction that was canceled, and 1 transaction that was compensated. And that's it. Then we sign up. Go back to my, let's see if I can, there we go. Go to PowerPoint. All of this is being documented, and you can also contact us. I think Tom will mention that later, how to contact us directly if you have any more questions. So this was all from my side. I see lots of things in the chat and the Q&A. Let me go through them.
I have some good news, Marta. Sid Jossi joined us as the PM.
Perfect.
So thanks,
Awesome.
Sid, for stepping into the fold. He's been answering some of the questions that appeared in Q&A. Marta, there was one that you said comes up a lot that you said to remind you. So does MicroTx support rack-based DBs in, I assume it's extended architecture transactions?
Sorry, repeat that again?
So does MicroTx support rack-based DBs in XA transactions?
Exactly, 100%, of course, yes. We make sure that the rack, that the transactions are always stored in the same node, that it doesn't go on different nodes of the rack, but of course it is supported, yes. Okay,
and the final one you said, and I think I might have seen this in chat, I think it flew off. Does Helidon also work with other DBs other than Oracle? Yes, of course. And we also support, many of you know, PostgreSQL, Redis, and anything that you want, even Mongo we support. It's an Oracle product, but you can run it wherever you want, and it's supported with any database. Cool. If anybody, there's one from Valley, I guess this is a PayPal tricky one. Does PayPal refund a cancelled gym session or credits the user? How long does it take to reflect on the user side? It's like you get your money back, like a regular PayPal. Yeah, if I remember rightly, I think they only block to make sure your card's real. That's my PayPal experience. It's a sandbox environment. We actually we are paying for it. So. The code's available, Marta, right? That's in those links. Yeah, exactly. You can check out on the links on the Medium post, and it's also in GitHub. Cool. What I'll do is, thanks, Marta. What I'll do is I'll share all of these links. I'll post them over on Slack right after this call, and I'll post. I think I can add them to the email tomorrow. I'll check that. If not, anybody needs anything, please contact me on that. I'll share that email again. If you can't use Slack for any reason, just let me know, and I will respond with the PDF if you need it. Okay, I'll just quickly run through. We've got a couple more slides to go. So Marta and her team is back again on the 24th. So if you want more on this, you've only a week and a bit to wait. So, so we'll see you all back here talking about transactions again. Obviously, you can register for any of them. There's 2 places, by the way. You can if you're a big user of the developer site, feel free to use that. Or if you use our page, you can use that. It's all the same thing. So, if you can join us on Slack, please do. If not, if you're anything you're looking for, I'll check this later on today. Contact-tcx _ww@oracle.com. We have got to really do something. There's somebody in Oracle who's paid on hyphens that builds these emails. I'm convinced of it. But if you can write all that down, feel free to ping us on that email, and we'll respond to you. With that, Marta, anything else you want to say?
No, I'm good. Thank you so much, Sid, for coming to the rescue. Thank you so much.
Respect, Sid. Thanks for stepping in. And hopefully I'll see you all on the next one. With that, I'll end the call. Look after yourselves and have a great day.